Morning people, it's another day on the van build. So this is now part 4 and we are looking at one of the final stages on this side at least, which is probably the Everest of this build, and then the other side should be more straightforward. But yeah, we're looking at getting this racking sorted here and then a shelf across the top, and then for the most part everything will be in. So let's see how we get on. Cheers. So quite bad really at doing ends of the videos. It's something I've got to sort of be wary and mindful of to get used to, doing like a proper ending for the videos. So I feel like I always finish and I don't film what I've done at the end. So use the beginning of the next episode as an opportunity to try and look back at what we've done. So we had looked at the idea of this stacking here, but I didn't get onto it. I wanted to just finish off a couple of other little bits, just neaten stuff up. So we finished off up here, where we've got the smaller level, 900mm level, and the speed skim, the little semi-flex, with the steel blade. That gave me a nice little shelf here to then put things on. So we had a bit of a rejig. And yep, these now fit on here perfectly. With a case, a nice little nose in. It's a little bit bigger. I might end up putting carpet or rubber sheeting down on some of these shelves so things don't fly about. Which does mean in later on, if I do want to make any tweaks, or anything, then this space doesn't necessarily have to be dedicated for these things. Just move some other stuff around. Just placed a few little spare bits and bobs up there and got a few bits down there. And then one of the other things I did, one of the last jobs I did really, was put a nosing on all of the stuff here. So all these have now got little lips. So if I hit a corner too tight, there's bumps, things can't come out, but there's still enough room. Just lift it up, comes off, slot it in, lift it up, comes off. Do have another room to stick another 900mm level in there if I get another one. Same here, everywhere's got this little nose now, which means for transport, I mean, that'll probably just slide off it anyway, that ain't gonna move. But it just means everything now has got a little bit of anti-wobble. I didn't put it on these two, I've driven about a bit and they just don't move. But I think more for the higher stuff. The step up does come quite a far way out, but it will get caught on its feet eventually. And then the other defender there, nice and snugly fitting as well. So that's where we got up to. So I think when I was finishing filming the other day, it was about 3 in the afternoon or 4. I just didn't have the headspace to start on that. So we're going to try and get that done with the little shelf on top, or just where that bracket is. And then if we do get time, we're going to face this up as well, like we did on the back. So yeah, let's crack on, let's get some measurements and let's get going. But the first thing really is just to get a good height on this, and this will just be an entirely square bit. Even though these boxes here, there's a bit of room above it, I like the idea of being able to add more boxes in, or just be able to put other stuff in. So I'm possibly going to build this up all to the same height as one bit with the 2 rows. And then even if these boxes don't go up to the same level as these boxes, then it doesn't matter, it's just giving me some room to play with. And then if that finishes roughly sort of maybe just slightly above where this bracket is, then that means I can just put that top shelf on there, and then we can put our other bits and bobs, and then yeah, the bulk of it's done. And then like I say, it is maybe just a bit of ply on that side just to hang stuff up. And then I've seen people put in sort of holders on the ceiling for things like mops and brooms, and again just trying to use all that vertical height really. So first thing we're going to do is measure up for 2 sides, and then we're going to put a back on as well, and a partition, and then yeah, and there'll be a case of just making all the dividers. So that's the rough plan. So yeah, just gonna get on. So just one little trick, I have been doing this all the way through. These videos aren't necessarily like how-to videos. Obviously everybody's going to have their own way of doing things and their own way of how they would want to make things. So it's more just an observation of what I'm doing. I wouldn't tell you this is how you have to do it. But in terms of measuring your heights and your widths, you've always got to remember to accommodate for this bit of wood or the partitions that you're going to have. So these boxes, for example, sit up at about 680 or 680mm. But obviously, I've got a divider there and a divider there at 18mm each. And I'm looking at another sort of 40 mil to add on to that. And then you obviously want a bit of space to be able to pull up and out, so I'm going to obviously allow for that as well. So that's 680. If you add on the other 40 mil, then that goes to 720. And then I think probably just to be on the safe side, I'd probably add another sort of 40 mil on, so then you're looking at 760. I think I would rather make it a bit taller and have it at 760, and then if I need to trim a bit off the top I can, but yeah, I think we're going to go for 760 high, and then that puts us on that bracket just slightly above it. I mean, it puts us on the top end of that, so we might end up cutting a bit off. But let's start at 760. As I was always taught by the many different tradesmen that I've worked with and people who have helped me along the way, then cut it long, cut it wrong. If you cut it short, you've got to start again. So cut it long and then trim from there. And it's definitely, even as a plasterer, you know, with plaster boards, you know, I'm not even a carpenter, but just with everything you do, when I've done any sort of gas work or piping, anything, then always cut it long, cut it wrong, and just trim it down from there. So if there's one tip I can give people who are maybe you know, starting out on doing things like this, then yeah, overcut. I think it's better to be 2 or 3 mil over than 2 or 3 mil under. Just makes a massive difference. So yeah, that's my little words of wisdom in terms of a how-to. Then yeah, cut it wrong, cut it long. So I can get out of it. You can just get it up on there, and you don't really have to use your back too much. Lovely. What I'm trying to do here is just measure and maximise the use of this. Obviously don't want too many offcuts, and the more I can use out of this, then obviously the more I've got for my money. And ply at the moment, it's just, in the UK, it's absolutely through the roof on price. So really just trying to be as economical with this as possible is a must. So I've set up the cyclonic dust extractor just purely because I was creating an awful lot of dust there. So we can see here we've got the long hose that goes down and into the extractor. This is like a weird little gravity pull thing, I'm not entirely sure how it works. But yeah, the dust comes up in any cyclones up here and then drops down into this little container here, and it's basically using the pull of this vacuum but without a bag in it. It does work really efficiently. You know, if you've already got a vac and you're just looking to do some simple dust extraction but don't want to buy, you know, a big bit of kit, then yeah, I think that was about 70 quid in the parts, you know, off eBay and Amazon and stuff. Charlie DIY is the man to check out for that. I got that idea of him, and it does work really well for sort of basic dust extraction, you know, if you're trying to do it from a DIY level. And yeah, just got my little adapter here. Like I say, this isn't the right one. I need to find something that fits better, but I've retaped it. It'll do for now. So just to show you up to, we've got the 3 little partitions here, and just want to check my heights on those. So I've just got some of these little spare bits of ply, just sticking it between each box and measuring the distance we've got left. So we've got about 60 mil, which is perfect because it means I can just put 20 mil just at the top of each one of these. So it means you can lift these up and out, because I will put a little nose on again. So you do want that wiggle room. You don't want this too tight. You want to be able to lift it and pull like that. So now it's time to see if there's enough space for the bits and where to put the partition. Look at that, loads of space, plenty of wiggle room on either side. Then we've got 2 nice little shelving units. Just need to cut some square shelves, and then that's that bit done as well, and that again is another big leap forward in terms of organising the van. So yes, I am chuffed with that. And biscuits, I love my biscuits, but to offset the biscuit I do try and eat some fruit. I'll have a bit of orange. Yes, we've built a lid. That's not going to leave a huge amount of space up here, but as with everything, I will find stuff to put up there. But yeah, don't worry, we will find a space for everything. It's a Sunday afternoon, so you know, I'm trying to take it somewhat easy. I'll do special, don't mess yo. And for the first time all week, the weather is just absolutely stunning. When Hebden is beautiful, it's really beautiful. Let's get on. So, running out of ply, and I do not have enough to make full shelves here, 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 and the same again here. So, one thing I've seen people do, again, from my extensive YouTube research, is use little edges of ply. This doesn't have to really sit on a lot. The box is more or less going to support itself. I might have to make these double. I might have to double this up so it ends up being 36mm. But basically, just sit it on the trim. So just the ends sit on. I've got enough of these offcuts really that I can put these in, even double them up. So we've got a nice 36mm bit that it can sit on. And put a little nose on the end, and then it just slides in and out off that. I think that's going to be my best way forward now from this point, and being the most efficient I can with the wood that I have left. So what I've got here is all these strips that are left. Because I have made this a bit bigger, there's going to be a bit of a gap. So I am going to have to double up on these to make, so the two bits at 18 are going to make it up to 36. But say for example, let's just try and pick this up. I could tilt them back. I mean, I don't know how far back you have to tip them for it not to fly up. So I've saved you the painful video of me making all these little things. I mean, this again, in terms of stuff that you would like, a table saw would be lovely, but I did manage to rip them down using the fence on my cellular saw. So they're all ready. So the next stage was just to assemble and install the tracks, and the first thing I did was to make some pilot holes for the screws, just so they went in a little bit easier. And I decided to go with screws rather than nails, just so I could take the tracks on and off and tweak them as I saw fit. And obviously in the video earlier you saw that I was contemplating the idea of tipping the boxes backwards, which would mean sort of angling the tracks backwards too. And the reason you might want to do that is just that it's an alternative method for stopping the boxes sliding out, rather than just having them horizontal and putting a lip on. But you can see I've decided to go with the horizontal method, and I was just going to literally test drive that and see how it went. Now, the only other problem I was having at this point was the fact that I was running out of 50mm screws. I had 40s and 60s, but 40s didn't go in far enough, and then 60s went in too far. So it was a Sunday afternoon, about 4 o'clock, and I was never going to be able to get to any sort of builder's merchant to get more screws. So this part of the build was just going to an abrupt halt, annoyingly. Right, so that's as far as I can get with these screws. I've only put 2 in each of these, but we'll buy some more and we'll get some 4s in those spots. Let's see if it works anyway. And that's great. I mean, the only thing that I've just suddenly noticed is that goes way further back than it needs to. So is that something I need to look into? Yes. I've never thought about that. That was a bit of a faux pas on my behalf. It's a little bit wobbly. Maybe we should get this top on. But yeah, essentially that works. I almost think I've given it too much room. Maybe not actually. Think about having to go over the top. They ain't going to fall off, but they are a little bit wide. Yeah, I mean, the only other thing is if I could lay them back, I could definitely, I don't know whether to lay them back or not. I can't decide if that's a good idea. Right, anyway, that's as far as we're going to get, I think. I might do a little bit more tinkering, but in terms of what you guys see, that's going to be it for today. yeah, I can't get much further. It's a tiny bit disappointing, really. I'd like to have been able to do a bit more. But yeah, I'll have a little bit of think overnight, and yeah, we'll reconvene next time. Bye.